Hello, legends and heroes. Welcome back. My name is Omni and I am your guide to Diablo Immortal. Barbarians have never been stronger. Some people say barbarians are done, but in today's video, I'm going to show you a build that's going to make you think completely differently. Barbarians have always been strong, and now they've given barbarians another way to do crit with the SPARKTUSK. Okay, new main hand, and it works for any resonance. I'll be running the build at 4900 resonance, but if you are 1000 resonance, if you are 8000 resonance, this build is still perfect. So let's begin with a regular battleground fight, and I'm going to show you how to use this build as we go through. First of all, you want to set up so that you can hit as many enemies as you can with your SPARKTUSK Demoralize. The SPARKTUSK Demoralize will remove all your enemies' buff plus stun them. We will also be using shoulders that will prevent all knockbacks. So when you use Wrath of Berserker, which will be all the time, you cannot be knocked back. There are only a few things that you have to worry about, and that is like wizard tornadoes. So while you're using this build, you have a lot of anti-knockback, but you need to sort of walk around the wizard tornadoes. Wizard tornadoes tend to be straight dab into center, so you can usually, if you hug a wall, you can run around it and onto the wizard. And then wizards are squishy, and you also have chains. You have chains that will draw them to you. So to be honest, you get on a wizard, you SPARKTUSK them, they're stunned, they're pretty much dead. The SPARKTUSK Demoralize isn't a skill that you just spam every time it comes up. You want to always have Wrath of Berserker going. You want to spam Wrath of Berserker, you want to spam the chains. The reason is, Wrath of Berserker and chains are both buffs. Helps you run faster, helps you deal a lot of damage. So you want to keep the buffs up as long as possible. The SPARKTUSK Demoralize is a skill shot. That it's basically a big circle that has a radius of about 10 feet from around you. You want to use SPARKTUSK on as many enemies as possible. I try to hit at least 2 enemies, which is doable. If you can hit 3 enemies with your SPARKTUSK Demoralize, they all get their buffs removed, and you stun them, plus you get 22.8% crit hit, thus making this build extremely powerful, giving you 22.8% critical hit chance. Now, if you are just 1v1ing a person, you get about 7.8% crit. If you hit somebody, only one person, about 7.8% crit hit chance. Less powerful when it is 1v1, but 7.8% is a lot better than 0% extra crit rate chance. SPARKTUSK Demoralize is amazing if you can hit the entire enemy team. So if you can hit 4 enemies or 5 enemies standing on an idol, you remove all their buffs and stun them. That is insane, and you have 23% extra crit chance, and you will just be destroying them. That is the goal. Having SPARKTUSK instead of anti-CC helmet or shoulders, you do have anti-knockback, which is good, but you can still be stunned. So you have to be a little wary. You gotta worry a little bit about enemies stun locking you, so that you can't use your SPARKTUSK. So that is one thing you have to worry about. But after you use this build a couple of times, you'll know when to use SPARKTUSK. Okay, it does take a little bit more skill than just unga bunga, just slam into enemies and hit all the buttons. This is a more skilled This is more skilled style of play. We're about to win this battle, and once we win this battleground, I'll tell you all the legendaries you need, all the curses, the reforges, set items, everything that you need to know about this build. This is a little interesting. So on the right side, the enemy decided to chase for a kill instead of protecting the idol, and this may have cost them the battle. So I'm staying here. I'm trying to block the enemy from getting onto the idol. Now the enemy did get on though, so I have to back off a little bit. But my goal is to try to keep the enemy off of my wizard. So my wizard's in the back dealing a ton of laser damage and also immobilizing them inside the tornado. My job is to tank for my wizard and to keep my wizard alive. And there we go. There was like a wave of 5 enemies and we killed all of them. Now you may be asking, you say, hey, you're a barbarian, why aren't you standing on the idol? Well, I had a Tempest friend who was standing on the idol, and the enemy was charging my wizard, Olustra. So I took priority on saving my wizard. The wizard's going to CC the enemy and deal a lot of damage. And if you look at the scoreboard, Olustra that is MVP. I've got more kills, but I died more often. That's what a tank does. A tank can die and protect your teammates. It's what's your front line. It's okay to die. Anyways, now let's talk about the build. The build is super nice. Of course, you have to have SPARKTUSK. SPARKTUSK, you just AoE demoralize your enemies and remove all the buffs. It removes any type of buff. All buffs. Also, it will stun your enemies. SPARKTUSK is the counter for everything. Then it will counter enemy Tempest. You stun them. You remove all of their buffs and just destroy them. There's on Tempest, you want to make sure that they aren't inside their little invulnerability circle, the whirlwind circle. Stay away from that. You can stun a monk. You stun a monk, remove all their buffs, and destroy them. It's absolutely amazing. Iron Tusk. This is the new essence. It's your main hand. And now, if you hit, you can hit up to 3 enemies. Well, actually, Demoralize can hit as many enemies as possible, just as long as they're in that circle. But you can have up to 22.8% crit chance, and that's what I mean. If you do hit 3 enemies, you get 22.8% extra crit chance, and that is extremely powerful. In the past, SPARKTUSK builds didn't have the extra crit chance, and this fixes it all. Iron Tusk fixes the SPARKTUSK build, giving us enough crit chance, 22.8%, enough crit chance to actually destroy the enemy, to actually not tickle the enemy, but to actually take him down. Now, your offhand is the Burst Breaker. This is your Wrath of Berserker. This makes it so when an enemy attacks you, they also take damage. So, I mean, even a range enemy like a Tempest or someone like a Necromancer hitting you with range attacks, they've buffed the Burst Breaker so that the reflected damage actually still hits range attackers. So this is extremely strong, even if you are CC'd, or if you can't really, reach somebody. As long as they attack you, your Wrath of Berserker is dealing damage to them. It also gives us a 25% movement speed. So that's really nice, allowing you to escape and also get to your enemies. Next is Falling Thunder, which makes its offhand. Falling Thunder offhand, which increases your damage by 28.5%. As long as your enemies are bleeding. And how do you make your enemies bleeding? That's what our main hand, we use Rending Bite. so that our main attack, our primary attack, every time we hit somebody with a primary attack, they start to bleed from our main hand Rending Bite. And I mean, that's straight up 28.5% extra damage. It's extremely good. Now, the shoulders that you want are called the Broken Calling. They are Wrath of Berserker shoulders that prevent you from getting knocked back. There are a ton of crowd control CCs, crowd controls, that are just knockbacks, and you just get juggled with knockbacks. For example, like the Starfire. With this shoulders, you do not get knocked back by Starfire. A ton, maybe like 70% of the crowd control in this game are just knockbacks. With these shoulders, you really just have to worry about the freezes and some stuns from Tempest and Satyrs. Just a couple. They don't last that long. But watch out for those tornadoes. Just walk around them. Next, we have Shackled Faith as your chest piece. The Shackled Faith chest piece gives you a ranged attack. This is medium range attack. So, you can still attack your enemies without getting hit. This is one way to attack melee heroes, or to pull a melee hero off of an idol. These chains will grab your enemies to the nearest enemy and pull them to you. So you can use it to pull an enemy off an idol. You can sometimes, even if you have low health, you still attack them without dying. So it's pretty nice. Birdie talents are the pants. So your chains will give you an additional 19% extra damage. So it's a 19% damage increase on top of the 28.5% damage increase from Falling Thunder offhand. So you get incredible damage. You also have the Iron Tusk from your main hand, giving you 22.8% crit chance. So all this combined makes you very lethal. These are some examples of gems you might use. Martyr's Lament, Viper's Bite, Pain Class, Bottled Hope, Rolling Consequence, Bottled Hope. I use Curse Sling. I really like Curse Sling. Starfire. You can use Maw of the Deep. Different type of PvP. All very, very good. Green set items I recommend is a 2 set of Banquet of Eyes. 2 set of Banquet of Eyes. This will give you additional 15% damage. A 4-piece set of Montebanks, which gives you a 30% shield every 9 seconds. That's insane. Also, you want to have a 2 set of Vithu's Urges. 2 set of Vithu's Urges makes all of your buffs last 30% longer. That includes your Wrath of Berserker, your chains. It also includes your Undying Rage. Allows you to stay invincible for longer. So that's super important. And your 4-piece Montebanks, like I said, 33% shield every 9 seconds is insane, making you super, super tanky. You also want a pet with Savior. I'm using a Stormlost right now with Savior and Innervate. Sometimes that procs. I can use all my skills again with Innervate and Savior. That will also keep me alive. I also use Gladiator. I will show you my Paragon tree in just a second. Next, this is our Curse property set. I have 6-piece Lash and 2 Nettled. You can also get 6-piece Nettled and 2-piece Lashed. Either way, it does a lot of damage. Nettled, it deals damage when enemies attack you. Lash deals damage when you smack them with your axes. Also, my reforges. I recommend reforges to be 2% attack speed, 3% beneficial effect duration, and I want you to have these 3 as your Tremor set. The Tremor set makes it so that you can stun an enemy every 12 seconds. So these are the best for Tremor. But yeah, you can stun an enemy just by hitting them with your axes. That's super important, so be sure to use this reforge set. Alright, for your Paragon, you'll be using Gladiator. Also, the ultimate Paragon skill I recommend is Shock Barrier. Shock Barrier allows you to gain an Absorb Shield, and when that Absorb Shield explodes, it does a lot of damage. So, you are going to be in melee range, so that explosion will deal a lot of damage to your enemies. Now for Gladiator, you want to use First Aid. It's basically a different type of cheat death that heals you up. You want to use Combat Veteran so that your First Aid happens once every 180 seconds. Then you have Cheat Death, which will save your life a ton. Grizzled Veteran just straight up makes you deal 4% more damage and take 4% less damage. Overpower gives you 3% crit for each person that you destroy. Now, you want to stay alive. If you can get 5 stacks of it, that means you have 15% extra crit chance. And that's going to be very, very powerful. I think Barbarians are more powerful than ever. Do you agree? Please comment below. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.